Hello guys, Mr. Shockwave King back once again, and yes, you saw that title of the video. Yes, this is my farewell to one of the best Hajime Ippo villains slash fighters in boxing in Hajime PS history. Yes, and I do mean that by the title, and some might say why. I want to explain to you right off the bat. The reason I don't want to see Alfredo Gonzalez come back after this retirement is pretty much because if he does stay, what would be the point? Because obviously Alfredo Gonzalez has no interest, absolutely none, in returning to the ring to fight Gonzalez or to fight anybody else. So if he was to still stay around as like a fighter, I'm gonna say goodbye to him as a fighter. If he was like to stay around, what would he actually even do? So it's just one of those things where it's just like, what would he honestly do? If he, like, besides from become a trainer for them kids, that he say he could like pretty much declare for themselves they're going to continue the Alfredo Gonzalez legacy of becoming, well, they're trying to become world champion or defeating Ricardo Martinez. It doesn't end with them. Well, it doesn't end with him. Besides from that, for potentially training them in the future, and maybe like having like a few background roles. Aside from that, I want to see Alfredo Gonzalez fight again. I don't want to see Alfredo Gonzalez become just an average journeyman, which is just, if a guy can ever get to the world stage, or Kentaru or Teihei, it's just like, hey look, you gotta beat Gonzalez, and to see a washed up, beat up Gonzalez is something that I don't want to see. Especially since we spent all this time with him, getting built up as a fantastic, excellent character in my opinion. To see him become a journeyman would just be sad, and disappointing in my opinion. Yeah, it really would be. And then there is them who say, oh, it's foolish for Alfredo Gonzalez to retire. I addressed this in my Sendo Explain video, or Sendo versus Gonzalez Explain video, but Alfredo Gonzalez does not have a goal after Ricardo Martinez. This is pretty much his last shot. It's very common in boxing after a certain time period, the same person not going to fight you anymore. And sure, he could just go for another world title, but the thing is, just like, nobody else inspired Alfredo Gonzalez to do what he do aside from Ricardo Martinez. It was only Ricardo Martinez himself who was just inspired out to become the man pretty much who he is today. When Ricardo Martinez used to invite the less fortunate and poorer kids into the arena and just give them free tickets and everything to see him fight. That was Alfredo Gonzalez's goal. And sure, he could have easily fought somebody else, a fight like the WBC champion or the IBA champion or the WBA champion. She could have fought one of those, but what would be the point? It would just be, there'll be no point of that. It's just, they don't really mean anything to him. Might sound messed up to say that, but it's just, and sure, if he would have beat Ricardo Martinez, then got the world title, and then was like, I'm gonna become undisputed, yeah, I understand that. But if there's no Martinez, there's no Alfredo Gonzalez. Like, if he was to rip Martinez from the timeline before Gonzalez became who he was today, then you have no Gonzalez. Like, honestly, he's not gonna get into a fight with Ricardo Martinez. He basically was living to defeat Martinez, pretty much. And the fact that Ricardo went back on his deal on if whoever wins the Ippo versus Alfredo Gonzalez fight gets a chance to fight him, it was pretty sure he only did it because of Ippo himself and the fact that he sparred him before. Because if he was truthful about the words, then he would have gave Gonzalez what he deserved, which was apparently a part of the contract. He was actually supposed to fight Martinez again, and he didn't give it to him. So if Alfredo Gonzalez would have beat Alf, would they even guarantee that he even get a fight with Ricardo Martinez at all? I would doubt so. And the fact that he lost another opportunity, he don't blew it again, it's just sad. Cause if somebody say it makes no sense for this and that, I put what's the difference. It's always whole Ippo versus Sendo difference. Sendo always had more endurance. He took two dip strokes off the back, and with the change in atmosphere and everything else, when you reread the chapter, that all pretty much happened around the same time period. Sendo was never outright winning the fight, but the thing is, if you believe that Alfredo Gonzalez is going to beat Sendo, in the dual exchange, that's not happening. That's not happening. But he took a full-on right counter, and yeah, he was expecting it to happen. He literally baited out Gonzalez for that counter, which is another difference. Ippo was never expecting to get hit with that right hand last minute, but Sendo was. So even if he came out of nowhere, Sendo was basically baiting him to do it. He wanted to taste that same counter, and he did, and he still beat Gonzalez for it. And that's just what happens. So in my opinion, the fight is excellent. When you read the chapters, it all fit together. I understand reading it weekly by week, that it's just like, wait, what? Because I was in the exact same boat, like I was saying in that Fight Explain video. But when I reread the chapters back to back, it changed my mind on everything. But yeah, I am glad to see Alfredo Gonzalez retire. Because unless George is gonna give him some type of random goal out of nowhere, what is Gonzalez even fighting for anymore? Because it basically got to the point. He already fought Ricardo Martinez twice. A better question would not be why did he retire now. The better question is why did he challenge any other champion? If it's confirmed that Ricardo Martinez is only holding one out of the 4 belts, why did he not challenge anybody else? Because this is not Sendo's fault, this is Gonzalez's fault. Especially just like, why did he stop using his footwork? Gonzalez stopped using his footwork because he chose to. He wanted to hunt Sendo in the Tiger Den. He wanted to go in knee deep and face Sendo like a man. He chose to throw away his feet. His coach pointed it out. Everybody pointed it out. Gonzalez made the decision he did, and he lost. So it was what it was. Now some of you might not agree with the whole retirement. I personally think it's a good idea that he retires now when he wants to. Because unless Gonzalez have a reason to come back, which I don't think he does, I don't want to see him just fight just to fight. That's wouldn't mean anything. It wouldn't. This man's already driving a Corvette. He in my opinion, don't need any money. So it's just, well, what Gonzalez is going to fight, continue to fight for what? I don't want to see him going against Hayami. I don't want to see him going against anybody else. Because unless you truly want them to fight, he didn't even really want to go against Ippo. So it's just, the fact that he was that dedicated to fighting Gonzalez, Martinez, after all this time, after years upon years, after being knocked out by this man twice. Because, like, honestly, what if, truly, Alf actually beat Sendo? Would he even get that fight? I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. Because if it was part of the contract, which Yagi pointed out that it was, if it was part of the contract back then, why wouldn't he just pull the same thing now? I'm not saying Ricardo Martinez is a dirty fighter, or that he's just a terrible person, but it is kind of messed up how Alf won legitimately, and you didn't give him what you promised. It's just messed up. I can't blame Alf for not wanting to fight Sendo at first, because he was promised something and he was robbed for it. Now what, Gonzalez just beat him again? Current day Gonzalez that fought Sendo? Yeah, he would. Because Sendo has, because Gonzalez never did change at all. I tried to tell you people before the fight happened, if you go back far as you can in the channel, that Gonzalez does not have it in him to stay in mixed mode. He doesn't. Because every time he go into it, he always instantly get knocked out of it, or he changes concentration. Every single time. Look at the Ippo fight. One moment he was beating Ippo into a pavement, he get rocked once, knocked down, and next thing you know, what happened to mixed mode is gone. Hey, look at Alfredo Gonzalez fanboy right here. There's just like seriously, I was conflicted. Cause like the thing is, I couldn't see Sendo losing because of the story significance, but he was just like an outright normal bout. I wouldn't know who to choose, honestly. But Alf lost, and plus even halfway through the fight, Alf was just like, he forgot everything. The fact that the more telling thing is how easily he was able to forget about Martinez in the middle of the fight. It's more telling than anything else. Because you expect, after you obsess with this man, this is the match. You told Lisa, your wife, this is the match that's going to get you another chance at Gonzalez. Why would you forget that? Why? Because it didn't matter to him anymore. It didn't matter to him at all. And like Sendo said, I went down to, I gotta tell grandma about this. I went to Mexico and found me a friend. I just really enjoy the fact that Alfredo Gonzalez is getting what he wants and just not fighting just because. I do feel bad for the coach and the staff and all of them, but hopefully with the kids who hanging around Alf, well, at least know Alf. Oh, it's a weird. I don't know his relationship. I don't know if they're just a neighborhood kids or somebody he just looked over. Maybe he's a Mexican Sendo. Who knows? But in a training role, yeah, I can see that. Or just seeing it being a person in the crowd for like a major fight of Sendo or something, or Ippos. Yeah, that's also another thing. Just I love how the entire thing turned out and what it became, because right there in the fight, especially with the whole taping it towards the end, was Ippo just like, don't hold you, don't cool him down, don't stall for time, let him get back out there. And the way Senna just looked back at Ippo, they understood, man. They understood. This is why I call that moment a true friend indeed. Because even in the middle of the fight, it went from Sendo 1 to murder this man, to see the man who knocked out Gonzalez 2. Grandma, when I get back to Japan, I gotta tell you, I found me a friend in Mexico, and he could be one of the strongest I ever faced. And also, Alfredo Gonzalez, now I think about it, Alfredo Gonzalez and Jose Nargo fell for the exact same thing. Remember what he did against Jose Nargo, where he started to train the direction of his punches? Now, he didn't do it like he did Gonzalez exactly, because what he did against Jose Nargo is more similar to what he did to Sayeki Takuma. Yeah, pretty much the exact same thing he did to him, which was basically keep on constantly predict his movements. But similar to Gonzalez, as the way he was switching up the punches left and right, left and right, left and right, he made Sendo, when he made Gonzalez think twice, he made him hesitate. If he would never hesitate against that punch, if that would have turned into an exchange, a full-on chopper right from Sendo, probably would have killed him. But then again, Gonzalez got hit by that, survived, and Sendo still got back up. He should have hit Sendo when he had the chance. The fact that he was just chicking around and didn't hit Sendo with the right just made him even more predictable when he set him up for it. So it's just, I don't understand why I'm breaking down Gonzalez and saying this and that, but I really am glad to see him retired, because in my opinion, it's excellent, isn't it? He just, it ended for the character. Gonzalez got basically, it was like a passing of a torch moment, because I'm pretty sure Gonzalez is older than both Sendo and Ippo, and Sendo's like 1 year older than Ippo, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know how old Gonzalez is. Could be anywhere from like 27 to 28. But it really was like a passing the torch moment. Sendo is making it to the top and Gonzalez is retiring. It's just, there's not too much else to say besides from the fight was fantastic. You don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand. It's just, there was nobody else who was a bigger fan at all. There was nobody else hyping up Alfredo Gonzalez than I was. Alfredo Gonzalez to me was the definitive person on the world stage. When you look at world stage, you can't really look at Martinez because he hasn't really struggled. But when it comes to world stage, a definitive character that's there, that's Alfredo Gonzalez. Well, you understand, Alfredo Gonzalez became a term in my eyes. Alfredo Gonzalez was the shit. Alright, he wasn't just anybody, he was the shit. Alright. There was no world-class boxer without bringing up Alfredo Gonzalez. And to see him get retired like this is, in my opinion, is reasonable. You guys might not like it. Some other people might not like it. But I like the fact that Alfredo Gonzalez retired on his own terms. He retired strong as a strong challenger, and he retired having a fun fight and doing what he enjoyed. And he's able to retire with no regrets, in my opinion. He fought Ricardo Martinez twice, legitimately, and lost. And I just think if Alfredo Gonzalez can't beat Sendo, an up-and-comer who's just like rising up to the ranks, cold-named Mexican killer, if he can't deal with Sendo, then how will we be able to deal with Gonzalez a third time? Because he saw this fight again, he's seen your mixer mode, and he's just be able to deal with it. And sure, he still would have stood a chance, but it's just, even if Gonzalez would have won, the fight would not have turned out like he wanted to. So it's just, he would have lost again, in my opinion. He's not beating Martinez Because as a matter of fact, he just doesn't have it in him. All right, first time, but like put it like this, I doubt that Alfredo Gonzalez was able to pull out everything that Ricardo Martinez had. Still, cause like even Jose Narco don't even know his full caliber of punch at all. And it's just the fact that Gonzalez could have easily went on a campaign saying that Martinez is afraid of him, but it's just I personally like how this ended. I really did. There's nothing else I can say. Cause like this is pretty much just a farewell video to Alfredo Gonzalez. I hope not to see him not as a sparring. I can see Gonzalez being a sparring partner. I'm not gonna say he'll lose his skill or lose anything like that, but I want to potentially see him get in the ring, barely survive the fight, and just slowly deteriorate. Cause like those people say, oh, just keep on fighting, keep on trying, just keep on fighting. End up like what? A washed up has-been who's just a journeyman, just to build up somebody else's resume and career. Like seriously, being up has-been is not fun. Oh, you don't fought a 40-year-old out of his prime, but he has a big name. Yay! I'm sorry, not every single person can pull off a George Foreman, and even then, some people say if George Foreman would have had the mind of old George, he would have been an unstoppable fighter for his day. But and that's basically my opinion about Alfredo Gonzalez. He is one of my top Hajime Ippo characters. He is Ippo's best. Like seriously, he's just that fight he had with Ippo is legendary. Legendary. Just like he went from saying Ippo will never make it there. I gotta kill this man. I gotta stop him. And the way like another thing, when Gonzalez was towards the road, look at the fight with Ippo. When he got knocked out cold and came back to life, when that happened twice and he got knocked down, and that second time he technically should have been a standing count in the corner. Both times he visualized Ricardo Martinez as a goal. But this time, he did not. He forgot all about it. And it's just beat your old rival, and cause that's if you Gonzalez was able to do it, but it's just I don't see that final fight what is all about. Like the last fight, 1308, 1307. It just it wasn't purely about fighting Martinez anymore. It wasn't. It put one of those moments where it's just everything around the fight doesn't even matter anymore, and it's the here now, and what that happens. Like it's not like Gonzalez was having way too much fun. It's not like Cinder was having too much fun, and it's just to see that a legendary character as Alfredo Gonzalez, who will not be forgotten in my eyes, go out like this. One of his best performances, the most evolved. Like I'm not saying Alfredo Gonzalez was weak. Nonetheless, this is the best. This is Alfredo Gonzalez at his peak, because combining the mixer mode and his cold, calculating technique. I'd rather have Alfredo Gonzalez be remembered for this legendary match than getting whooped by somebody else. At least he didn't show no mercy. At least he put up a fight. At least he showed Cinder before he left. He taught Cinder with his fist of who Alfredo Gonzalez truly was. He isn't just a number 2 in the world. He's the champion. He's the people champion. If it wasn't for Jose, it's like with Jose Mendoza and Carlos Rivera. If Jose wasn't there, Carlos would have been champion. If Martinez wasn't there, Gonzalez would have been champion. Now, we don't know who the number 1 ranked person is. The way it's built up, it's not like Gonzalez is built up as a better number 1 than whoever the number 1 was. Well, whoever the number 1 is, since we're going to assume that he's still active. So, yeah, just like in my opinion, Alfredo Gonzalez held so much weight on his shoulders. It was just like the expectation, the power, the technique, and everything to it. It's just there's no other way I could explain it. It's just the way I used to say and explain to my friend Khalid Alfredo Gonzalez and who Alfredo Gonzalez was and how hype I was for this fight. You don't understand. It was like a hype machine. I didn't know how the fight was going to turn out. I just personally believe that Sendo has to win, but it's Gonzalez. It is, you don't understand. I can't really explain it to you. I can say you don't understand all I want, but it's just, if you was in my shoes, or if you were me, you understand what Alfredo Gonzalez meant. Not just as a character, but as a status, as power. He was the guy from Mexico. He was the fighter. He would, cause like, if Ricardo Martinez is the world representation, the pound for pound champ on the world stage in Mexico, in the international stage, it was Gonzalez. Because Ricardo Martinez might be all over the world, but just representing Mexico by default, that was Gonzalez. Like seriously, he's the only savage to date to make a sombrero and a poncho look that cool. I never thought that was bad or anything, but when you see Gonzalez wear it, it's just like he's the real deal. This is Alfredo Gonzalez. Look at that sombrero. Look at that poncho. Are you serious? Are you serious? This is Gonzalez. Respect the name. And just hearing Sendo declare that fight was beautiful. Seeing Alfredo Gonzalez walk in and see that Sendo dropped his idol, the man he's been chasing for years. Because you can argue at this point that Alfredo Gonzalez also truly believe if there would be anybody to beat Martinez at this current point in time, Sendo is the best chance for anybody. And so we could talk about Ippo return. I've been enjoying Hajime Michiba and Hajime Sendo. So, because like the thing is, with Ippo himself, just as a character, it would take a lot more. Not including the fact that girl we waited over 12,000 chapters. 1,200 chapters for the girl from chapter 1. She should be right here. You know who I'm talking about. She knows she is. She will not show back out of nowhere, so I don't know if Kumi and Ippo is their thing. It's been 30 years and their relationship been slowly progressing. But instead they all get dropped by a new girl. It's just, yeah, the Mokurichi wars are heating up, right? The Mokurichi wars are heating up. I just hope that Gonzalez is doing his best with him. And get to go home to Lisa and tell her everything. And hopefully they live a nice happy life. And in this video, this is a farewell to Gonzalez, the legend, the image. If Ricardo Martinez is the sun, every sun must have a moon. And that was Gonzalez, the Mexican unstoppable death god. Respect the name. But yeah, it's been Boom Shockwave King. Hope you'll be able to get something out of this video. This is my farewell. This is my congratulations. This is my adios. My adios amigos to Gonzalez. He was an excellent character. Fantastic on screen. Wish the best for him, but this is excellent. I really am happy for the guy. I really am. I can't explain it. I can't put into words of how I'm happy to see that Gonzalez is retired. And it's something that he personally wanted, because he easily could have continued his career. It's not like when I say, oh, he was just degrade instantly. I don't mean just like, oh, he have 2 fights and he can be broken. No. But eventually, after like 10 fights, it's just like, this Gonzalez still got it in him. And I don't want to see him become a journeyman, because unless it was Sendo, I don't think I really accepted him to see it by anybody else. Sure, I'll accept it of how it happened and how he lost, but it just, having him lose to Sendo is a lot better than having him lose to some random no-name. But what about Ippo revenging his loss? As much as I would have liked to see Ippo do that, but seeing Ippo versus Gonzalez 2 would have been interesting to me. Now, Ippo versus Sendo 3 for Undisputed, now that would be something. That would be something. Because just like, it's funny. The first time Ippo beat Sendo, Sendo became the Japanese champion and Ippo lost. And Ippo came back, fought a guy. Now he might have to fight like 3 more people this time around, and one of them might be a montage. But the fact that Sendo might have a chance to become world champion first before Ippo, if that actually happens, if he beat Martinez on screen, legitimate, if that actually happened, The dream match theory is confirmed. I don't care what anybody says. The dream match theory is confirmed. Is that happened? The undisputed for world champion will happen between Takeshi Sendo and Ippo Makunuchi. So yeah, guys, that's been the video. It's me, Boom Shockwave King. This is my farewell video to Alfredo Gonzalez. Maybe you don't like the Freddy type, and you don't think it's a good idea. You think it's just some type of dummy dick idea. Well, I tip my hat to you, sir. I'm glad you have your opinions. I don't really want any arguments in the comment section, because like, you can have your opinion, but as long as you're able to defend it and give your own personal reasons, I'm fine with that. But if you just say stuff just to say it, then I might have to question you, and then I just drop it. But got your own reasons, got your own feelings. If you both Shockwave King, this is my goodbye to Gonzalez. Hope you guys do understand. If you both Shockwave King, you know that this is one for Alfredo Gonzalez, one of the best Hajime Ippo characters to date. Alfredo, Mexican Death God Gonzalez. This one goes to you, buddy. And peace.